Welcome to Tales of the Famous, the channel that drags legends back into the merciless light of truth, that rips away the carefully polished masks of the untouchable icons, that dives without hesitation into the darkest corners of glory and takes you where no one else dares to follow. Behind the neon-soaked darkness of Scores, the most infamous strip club on Manhattan's East Side in the spring of 1998. Behind the pounding bass that swallowed every warning. Behind the night when Jean-Claude Van Damme, the muscles from Brussels, the man who had kicked his way across 100 silver screens, the living god of roundhouse kicks and perfect splits, the action hero who made millions believe he was invincible, walked in thinking he still owned the world, and walked out 30 seconds later with his face swollen shut, his lips split open, blood pouring down his designer shirt, his pride shattered into 1,000 pieces on a sticky floor, carried out like a broken doll by the same entourage that had worshipped him 5 minutes earlier while the man who destroyed him simply sat back down, ordered another whiskey, and never even raised his voice. This is not a movie scene. This is not choreography. This is not a stunt double taking the fall. This is Jean-Claude Van Damme, 37 years old, cocaine burning through his veins, ego the size of the Empire State Building, stepping into the wrong room, in front of the wrong man on the wrong night. And the man waiting for him was Chuck Zito, 44 years old, former national president of the New York Hells Angels, ex-professional boxer with fists like sledgehammers, a human mountain who had broken more jaws than most people have shaken hands, a man who looked at fame the way a wolf looks at a peacock, pretty feathers, easy dinner. For more than 25 years, the story stayed buried. No tabloid headline. No grainy security footage. No official police report. Just whispers in dojos, nods in biker bars, quiet laughs in stuntman trailers, and the occasional, "You heard what really happened to Van Damme in New York." Until Chuck Zito, at 70+, finally opened his mouth on podcasts on Howard Stern in his autobiography Street Justice and told the world, word for word, punch for punch, what really happened when Hollywood's toughest fantasy collided with the street's toughest reality, and reality won in under 30 seconds. Hold your breath, like, subscribe, hit the bell. We're going in for 10 brutal, unfiltered hours. Let's roll. Los Angeles, winter 1997 to 1998. Jean-Claude Van Damme is falling apart in slow motion, and everyone around him can see it except him. His fifth marriage to Darcy Lapierre is collapsing under the weight of infidelity, paranoia, and $10,000 a week cocaine bills. His films are getting smaller, cheaper, straight-to-video garbage that no one remembers a week later. He's paranoid, convinced the CIA is following him, convinced his phones are tapped, convinced everyone is out to get him. He surrounds himself with yes-men who tell him he's still the king while his bank accounts bleed and his reflection in the mirror starts to scare even him. He needs protection, real protection, someone who can handle paparazzi, dealers, jealous husbands, rival actors, whatever the night throws at him. His manager makes one phone call to New York. "We need the absolute best. Money no object." They send Chuck Zito. Chuck Zito is 44, built like a refrigerator with arms, former national president of the New York chapter of the Hells Angels, amateur boxing champion with a record that still makes old-timers flinch, a man who has stared down cops, mobsters, rival gangs, and come out standing every single time. He's done security for Mickey Rourke when Mickey was at his most self-destructive, for Stallone, for Liza Minnelli, for people who live on the edge and sometimes fall off. He doesn't take shit from anyone, not even movie stars. From day one, it's war. JCVD treats Chuck like a servant. "Carry my bag. Open the door. Stand there and look scary. Don't speak unless I tell you to." Chuck pushes back, calm, cold, deadly. "I'm not your butler. I'm your bodyguard. Act like a man. I'll treat you like one." JCVD screams, throws tantrums, threatens to fire him in front of the whole crew. Chuck stares, unmoving, until JCVD backs down, red-faced, muttering in French. The crew watches in terror. No one has ever talked to the muscles from Brussels like that and lived to tell the tale. 3 weeks in, Chuck quits. He walks into the manager's office, drops the earpiece on the desk, and says, "Your boy's a spoiled, coked-up child. I don't need this shit. Find someone else to wipe his ass. He walks out. JCVD is livid. He spreads the word everywhere. Chuck is a coward, a quitter, a nobody who couldn't handle the job, a biker who talks big but runs when it gets real. Chuck hears every word. He says nothing. He waits. Spring 1998, Manhattan, Scores Strip Club on East 60th Street. One of the most famous gentlemen's clubs in the city, the kind of place where Wall Street sharks mix with wise guys, where celebrities come to disappear, where the champagne flows like water and the rules don't apply to anyone with enough money or enough muscle. Chuck is there with his crew. Hell's Angels brothers, old boxing buddies, serious men doing serious business in a dark corner booth. Voices low, eyes sharp. The door swings open. JCVD walks in, louder than the music, cocaine eyes shining, entourage trailing like hyenas, throwing $100 bills at dancers, laughing too loud, acting like he owns the night, like he owns the city, like he owns every soul in the room. He spots Chuck across the crowd. His smile dies instantly. The temperature drops 10 degrees. Chuck doesn't move. He just looks. Cold. Calm. Deadly. JCVD can't let it go. He's still burning from a humiliation of being fired by his own bodyguard, still repeating the lie to anyone who will listen. That biker punk couldn't handle me. He walks straight to Chuck's table, stands over him, chest puffed, voice loud enough for the whole club to hear. So the big bad biker ran away because he couldn't handle a real man. Huh? You're nothing but talk. The music keeps thumping. Everything else stops. Dancers freeze mid-dance. Bouncers tense, hands sliding toward their belts. Chuck stays seated, voice low, almost a whisper, but every word lands like a hammer. Sit down and shut up, Jean-Claude. You're embarrassing yourself. The room is ice. JCVD loses it completely. He leans in, finger in Chuck's face, spitting venom. You think you're tough? You're nothing. I destroy you in 2 seconds. You're a joke. Chuck smiles, slow, terrifying, the smile of a man who has heard that line 1,000 times and buried every man who said it. Anytime movie boy. According to every single witness who was there that night, bouncers, dancers, customers, Chuck's own crew, what happened next lasted less than 30 seconds but felt like slow-motion carnage. JCVD turns to walk away, thinking he's had the last word, reaching for his designer glasses on the table like a man who still believes he's untouchable, like a man who has forgotten that in the real world, pride goes before the fall. That's when Chuck explodes out of his seat like a freight train. Right hand, straight, textbook, flush on the jaw with a sound like a baseball bat hitting a watermelon. JCVD's head snaps back so hard his feet leave the ground. Before he can even register the first punch, Chuck's left hook crashes into the side of his face with a crack that echoes over the music. Van Damme's chair flips backward. He lands hard in the lap of Chuck's friend Kevin Lubick, glasses flying across the room, blood already pouring from his split lip, his eyes rolling like a fighter who just got hit by a truck. Chuck is on him instantly, raining precise, professional punches, 30 years of ring wars in every strike. Body, head, body, head. When JCVD covers his head with his arms, Chuck switches to the ribs, short, vicious hooks that drive the air from his lungs. When he drops his arms to protect the body, Chuck splits his face open again, left, right, a rhythm as perfect as any fight scene, but with none of the choreography, none of the mercy. 30 seconds, maybe 25. It's over before anyone can move. Bouncers finally rush in, 400 pounds of muscle trying to pull Chuck off, but Chuck is already done. He steps back, breathing steady, not even sweating. JCVD is on the floor, swollen, bleeding, eyes glassy, trying to understand how the world just ended in front of 50 witnesses. Chuck straightens his jacket, sits back down, orders another whiskey like he just finished a light workout. The room is dead silent except for the music that no one is listening to anymore. Van Damme's entourage drags him out the back door, half carrying him to the limo, his face already ballooning, blood soaking his white shirt, his legs barely working. One of his bodyguards whispers, "We got to get him to a hospital now." Chuck's friends don't say a word. They don't need to. The message was delivered in the only language that matters when words fail. The story never made the papers. No photos, no video. Van Damme's people buried it with money, threats, and NDAs thick enough to choke a horse. Chuck never bragged publicly until years later. In his book Street Justice and on Howard Stern, where he kept it short and cold, he talks shit. I shut him up. End of story. But in the martial arts world, in the biker world, in the New York underground, the legend grew like wildfire. The night the muscles from Brussels learned that movie kicks don't work when the other guy hits first, hits real, and hits last. The night Hollywood's toughest fantasy got a reality check from a man who didn't care about fame, only respect. Tell us in the comments, no filter. Was Chuck Zito right to destroy JCVD, or did he cross the line? Does this night change everything you thought you knew about Jean-Claude Van Damme, movie tough guy, or just another actor who wrote a check his body couldn't cash? Thank you for staying until the end with Tales of the Famous. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. The next revelation is coming soon. See you soon. And sometimes the hardest punch isn't on screen. It's the one that teaches you who you really are when the cameras aren't rolling.